This image is really important. This gets to the heart of how we use these algorithms. And some of you have commented on this already. The traditional image of AI is the cyborg. Yeah. And if you look back through science fiction, this is what we grew up with. There's a pattern here. Humanity creates the robot. The robot becomes more powerful than the human. It rebels and becomes destructive. Humanity fights back. They destroy the robot. Sanity is restored. We all live happily ever after. Yeah, that's the traditional pattern, which presents, therefore, AI as something dangerous, something to be fought against and resisted. Interestingly, in recent years, I'd say in the last sort of 15 years or so, there's been a marked change in science fiction. If you watch the sort of movies, and interestingly, particularly movies for children, family movies, the role of AI is much more nurturing. So the next generation is growing up, not with the image of the Terminator, but with the image, if any of you have seen Big Hero 6, lovely, cute, warm, supportive, caring AI. So that's going to be very important. But the message is that image of the robot, that's not the most likely outcome. The image that we've got that is the most meaningful is the centaur. The centaur is a hybrid. It is a mixture of the best parts of the human combined with the best parts of the horse. Yeah. So the intellect of a human with the strength and the power and the speed of the horse. Yeah. And Microsoft's image, the co-pilot image, is exactly that. And what I hope you've been picking up with this is when to use, when not to use which algorithm. That's the skill. And if you can develop that skill through practice, then you're going to be really well equipped. So, the co-pilot, if you think about the use of technology in flying a plane, it doesn't remove the need for a pilot. It allows the pilot to fly the plane better. And in the context of this, PwC had a brilliant quote in one of its reports the year before last. AI will not replace people. But people who can use AI will replace people who can't. Yeah. That's the objective. That's the fact here. So with that in mind, I would just like to explore a little bit about what does this mean for you at work. Okay, so just out of interest, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to give you another poll. So it's just going to be a yes/no poll. And the question to this is, does your organization does your organization give you training and support in the use of AI? In other words, is it a company strategy that says, right, here's the AI, here's ChatGPT, here's whatever, this is how we want you to use it, these are the rules, these are the policies, or is it something that's either not used or you use privately yourself? So if you use it privately yourself or you don't use it at work, select no. If your organization does have a policy, does have training, does have guidance, then select yes. So over 70% have no organizational guidance, training, use within that. Yeah. Now, that creates some potential issues. The first thing to think about is, well, we've seen how efficient these algorithms can be. So if you're using these algorithms, you're going to be more efficient than somebody who isn't. So in terms of writing reports, reviewing reports, analyzing data, all of those sorts of things. So there is a lost opportunity if the organization is not harnessing that technology. But as well as that, if we are harnessing it, how are we going to regulate and control it? That's what this next section is going to look at. So what are the principles? Always invite AI to the table. So don't make an assumption about what you think AI can or can't do. Yeah. So if you think ChatGPT isn't going to be able to do it, well, try it. And even today, I was typing stuff into ChatGPT saying, well, ChatGPT will never do this. Yeah, it'll never write a report on the flat Earth science. Well, this time it did. Um, so keep that in mind, but be the human in the loop. Um, we have seen an explosion in AI related content. So AI can write your LinkedIn post, write your social media post, write your reports, write this, write that, write the other. Yeah, we've seen that earlier on. I believe, I don't have the scientific evidence, I have anecdotal evidence that as humans, we are actually learning to differentiate between human generated and AI generated content. It's fascinating. I'm not a psychologist, but there are certain things that we spot. So some of the giveaways, things like ChatGPT or the algorithms, they often use hyphens. They use more hyphens than many people normally would. They use more adjectives than the normal person, the average person would. They sometimes use slightly more obscure terminology, obscure language, slightly more archaic language. Um, it's very hard to quantify. I couldn't give you a list of verbs or words or adjectives that indicate this because it's not as simple as that. But taken in its entirety, that I think there is a feeling, and I think that feeling is getting stronger. I think people are becoming more intuitive on that. Now, I'm just interested in that because that's just out of interest. If you were given a typewritten report, if you were presented with a report, let's use a social media post. If you were given a LinkedIn post or a social media post, how many of you think that you would spot if it was generated by an algorithm as opposed to written by a human? Okay. So we can see about two-thirds of you are saying I probably wouldn't spot it. About a third of you saying you would. There are loads of examples of this you can guess online. Yeah, you've seen how convincing some of the output is from ChatGPT. If somebody had presented that to you, would you have spotted it? It's difficult to assess, but I think that skill is being there. I certainly remain absolutely convinced that you cannot just copy and paste stuff from ChatGPT into another source and pass it off. In academia, this is the saving grace. Because in academia, all the plagiarism software won't work anymore because ChatGPT is generating original content. But when you read it, if you don't know if you've submitted your essay and you don't understand what the essay's saying, when the reader reads it, there will be things that don't add up, things that don't feel right. So make sure that you remain as the human in the loop. Treat AI like a person, but tell it what kind of person it is. So back to those prompts that we saw at the beginning. Those prompts are really, really important on that. And assume this is the worst AI you will ever use. Um, so the phrase that Ethan Mollick uses, he says, we're currently playing Pac-Man in a world that will soon have PlayStation 6s. Yeah. The technology that we are using today, we might think it's very exciting and very advanced. It's the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. If I'd asked somebody a year ago, if I'd asked a scientist a year ago, how long will it be before AI can generate photorealistic video footage based on a written prompt? Most scientists would have said that's 2 to 3 years away. Yeah. Within weeks of that research being published, OpenAI had launched Sora, which is going from strength to strength, which now does exactly that. It's now live in the US. I don't think it's live in the UK yet, but I type in a written prompt, it's going to give me photorealistic video footage. And I'm sure you will have seen a lot of the deep fakes and things that are now very, very difficult to tell apart.